Good evening, guys. This is Chris from DNG RMS Photography, and I'm doing a raw edit of the week for FroKnowsPhoto.com. This is just my little view of it. I've been coaching all morning, so I had a bit of a shocking, situation with one of my players who got quite cross and smashed his tennis racket. So there's his tennis racket, and yeah, we're going to have a quick raw edit of the week today. Before I nip back out and do some more coaching. So one thing I was going to do, as soon as I saw the raw file and had a quick look at it in Photoshop, my initial idea, I was going to do a double exposure on this one. So I was going to process it twice, once processed for the sky, once processed for all the foreground and the fro, but drop the exposure down and you get this blue to turquoise to grey fade across the sky. Now I don't know why that is, so it'd be nice if Jared, if you know why that is, whether there was a filter, a colour filter, a graduated filter, something up there, because I'd love to know why that has happened. There must be some reason. So that kind of scuppered that idea. So with that done, we're going to cancel out of Photoshop and we're going to go into Lightroom and do a little edit in Lightroom with exactly the same as I did last time. I've already done a snapshot, so I know vaguely what I wanted to do with it, but see if we can replicate that snapshot. So it's a great picture. This a really great little picture, fun, nice and amiable. So we're going to see if we can get a little bit of a split tone going on here. So once we've got everything sorted out, let's start with the exposure and pump the exposure up a little bit just to keep him up there. I'm going to have a look at the recovery as well, if there's anything. I'm not too worried about the sky because the sky is so blown out, so not worried about that. And then a little bit of fill out. Now the blacks, I don't want to lose too much detail. Holding down the Alt key here, if you hold down the Alt key you can see where you've blown out, and exactly the same once you do the fill light. Push the fill light up, but if you hold down the Alt key, the Alt key's not working on that one. It's a recovery. Okay, recovery, you hold down the Alt key, you can see where you're blowing out again. So, right, so put the blanks up, pop a little bit of Jared contrast in it as well. I thought it'd be quite funny to do a HDR style image for a Jared photo, and a bit of clarity. Now, what we've got up here, because we've pushed the recovery and this exposure, if you see round here, you get a nice little blue cast around his hair. So if we can keep, what I'm going to do is see if I can pull the exposure back a little bit on the sky. We'll do that in a second with an adjustment brush and possibly a graduated filter. But just before that anyway, oops, no, I wasn't intending to zoom in on the crotch then. Right, let's put the contrast up, medium contrast, and also see if we can smooth out some of the highlights. Really pick the highlights up a bit. Now the lights and the darks on these two, these work a lot more readily than the highlights and the shadows sliders, because obviously these are working on the slightly more mid-tone areas. So highlights up here, darks don't need to move because obviously the more you move down there, the more contrast you're going to lose. So back to 0, double click. Shadows down there, right. Split toning. Okay, now not a particularly warm picture at the moment. Let's see if we can warm it up a little bit with some split tone highlights and blue shadows. See if we can get more of a balance on the highlights if we can. Put saturation up slightly, maybe get the highlights a little more yellow. It's looking pretty good. Now, having done that, there's a bit of, oh excuse me, I've drunk 4 litres of water today. I'm not feeling great, so I've just been trying to empty out some of the stuff. Right, yeah, it lost a little bit of the detail now on the contrast. So I'm going to pull the contrast back a little bit, pull the blacks back a fraction, and maybe put that fill light up a little bit. Right, push the exposure back. See if we can get closer to a yellow. There we go. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Okay, this is a great picture. Right, now, straight off, let's lock the aspect ratio. Now, if I pull this in far enough, it will. There we go. It'll change to a portrait. And see if we can keep him roughly in the centre. Now I don't really want to cut that off, so if we can take it across, oh yeah, so we can just get those two in now. That's close. Right, now what do we reckon would be better to cut off here, guys? Do we reckon it would be better to cut off the slide here, or cut off that bit there? Because that's a bit close, and that's a bit close to the edge. So I'm going to cut off the top and that there like that, and leave the slide coming out. That gives it an end there, and hopefully leads it into here. So double click to activate that. God, I keep coming into his crotch. Right, now let's get this graduated filter going. Always the wrong way around. I can never get the idea of which way around these have to go. Okay, and I'm probably doing it the wrong way around again. Nope, I haven't, is there? Okay, so that's that drop down. Pull this down a fraction. Now, if we pull that, you see you can start getting some colour in the clouds here. And what we're going to do is, with an adjustment brush, we're just going to mask off a bit where it's catching, especially his hand as well here. Look. Actually, let's do, rather than doing the graduated filter, let's get rid of that. There we go, nice little puff, I've never seen that before. We're going to get an adjustment brush instead, and we're going to put the exposure down. Now, exactly the same when you do the adjustment brush. Remember how I held down Alt to see what I was doing? Well, if we scoot in all this here, just really, really quickly, if I hold down O, then I can see what I've done. Okay, so feather, I've had a bit of a feather, now we're starting to get near the edge of everything that's happening. Not going to be too accurate because I'm going to go in with an eraser and pump it back out. Now, remember what I said I was about his hair, around the edges of the hair, we're getting that blue cast. And if we can go around here and just darken that as well, it's going to bring out the hair and fraction more that's going behind there as well. Right. Now, if we turn the mask off now, pull this exposure down so you can start seeing a little bit of clouds. There we go. Maybe some contrast as well up, see if we can get some, now we got it. Pull the brightness back. Just looking at down here, we've got something funny down here. What happens if we pull it all the way back? Oh no. Right, so that's too far. I don't think that's quite enough, so somewhere in between. And that should be a bit better. Right, now let's go in and sort out. So we need to do a new one. New edit. Actually, we don't need to do a new edit, we need to edit this one. So we need to go in there, select eraser. You need to zoom in. So a little bit of a move around. Right, now you see how good and clear all his hair strands are now. We want to leave that, but we want to get out all this. If we hold down O again, you can see all the where the mask is here. We want to get rid of all this around here and everything that's coming into his hand. Okay, so don't want to go too far into the strands because I like what it's doing with the strands. Push the feather up a fraction. Which brings out the detail again. Got in highlights. Here we go. Bringing out the guns. And once you've done this, obviously that's pulling the exposure back. Make the brush smaller with the square bracket key. Putting out his fingers and his thumb as well. Around his hand, down that finger as well. Alright, now I just want to see what I've missed. So great way of being able to spot. Missed his get rid of that. Pull that shoulder back in as well. Text, no, eBay. Got some stuff on eBay at the moment because I want to try and get a new camera. There we go. Take his hair out. Cut his hair off, man. Around here. In the corner. Right. That's a little bit up here. Actually, what would be quite cool is if we can pull it slowly into there. So we might pull that back and then There we go. Might pull the trees back a little bit and then rub some more exposure into them just to darken those up. Get all this up here. Right, now, if I turn the mask off now and have a look at the difference between his hair here and his hair over here, and you should see a lot more definition on this side. There you go. So it's a lot darker and a lot more defined over there. So we're going to have to brighten that very, very slightly. Just want to rub it off a little bit, so there's a bit more of a graduated pulling, because I like how it's contrasting against the sky, but not how sharp it is in terms of the change. God, this is supposed to be a quick edit, wasn't it? Let's take down this as well. Put those in. Try and be as quick as I can, guys. Swing across all the way like that. Right, let's just do that last one down the middle there. There we go. Okay, let's get back out. See the image. Over to go back. There we go. Now we've got something that's looking a little bit better now. I've just missed that bit up there, so I'll put that back in now really quickly. So we want to go back to a brush size of that, make it slightly smaller so we can really define that. There we go. Right. That looks pretty good right now. Right now, what did I say about the trees? We wanted to see if we can get these trees a little bit darker. Make a nice big feather and just feather in to the top of the trees. Look at that, much better. Now I want to do that a little bit there, but if I do it, I'm going to have to redo his arm, so I'll leave that out. Okay. This bit here is distracting me at the moment, so nice and large replacement brush. That looks about right. There we go. So we're starting to get somewhere. It's looking pretty good. So you'd still like to bring out a little bit more detail in some of this area here. So let's see if we can just pump up a little bit more of the fill lights, maybe pump up the exposure as well. And where's the split tone? Let's see if we can push the balance a bit more into the highlights. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. This is looking good. A little bit of sharpening. Again, once you do the masking here, hold down the Alt key so you can see what you're masking. You just want the edges rather than the textures. There we go. And do we want a vignette? Post-crop vignette. Let's see what it looks like with one. Oh. Now, here we go. The problem you're going to have with the vignette here is if I pull that in, it's affecting this corner here because that is a really good blue, but it's not doing anything else. So I think in order to get a vignette on this one, you're going to have to lose this corner. So what about a lighter vignette? Lighter vignette actually works a bit better, so let's push the vignette up a little bit there. Push the midpoint up so you don't notice it as much. Round this and feather it quite a lot. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay. That, I think I'm going to leave it there. Maybe pull back on the... No, I'm going to leave it there. That's spot on. I like it. Jared, this is your... It needs to do... I need to get a little bit more on the masking, but obviously it was trying to be a quick edit. It's not really turned out to be a particularly quick edit, so apologies for that, but there we go. That is my raw edit of the week. And I'm going to save that, and I'll upload it along with this video. Thank you very much, guys. This is Chris from DNG RMS Photography for the FroKnowsPhoto.com forum and raw edit of the week number 43. Thank you very much. See you later.